So Clarence goofed up twice. And the goofs kind of saved each other because, the first goof was the day before where he said, oh, today's the 20th or 19th. And then the eclipse was going to be on the 21st. And he was wrong about the day. Because he was wrong about the day, that means the eclipse would have been off by a day. And if the skies started darkening while he was still in prison, that would have worked out okay. But then his other goof was, hey, we'll get him out of jail faster because he's all set up and they're gonna, why make him sit in jail for an extra day when we can get him out earlier? He's going to say, okay, we got to pull him out before his power is at full strength, because before his power is at full strength, then, he'll be able to, destroy the sun. And so this was a case where he was lying, but the actual result was a truth, which is this really sort of weird thing. Now, when I was a kid, I had a book of logic puzzles called The Lady and the Tiger, based off of the story of the Lady or the Tiger, and it's a series of logic puzzles. And there were all sorts of meta logic puzzles. And there were one group of logic puzzles that focused around vampires and crazy people. So, a vampire always lies. Everything a vampire says is a lie. That's part of the lore of vampires. That everything that they say is a lie. So, if you were to ask a question of a vampire, the vampire will lie about it. Now, there were also crazy people. And crazy people believe everything true is false. But they tell the truth. So, if you ask a crazy person, is the sky green? The crazy person will say yes. Because they believe it to be green. Because it's blue. When they know it's not blue, so it's green. If you ask a vampire, is the sky green? The vampire will say yes. Because they know it's blue, but they lie. So you had these insane vampires who always spoke the truth. Because they believed a falsehood and then lied about it. So, you have this really weird situation that Clarence is in this case of he was lying and he knew he was lying, but what he believed was false. So he lied about what he thought was true, but it wasn't true. So he lied and his thing was actually the truth, which saved the narrator. So that's a really sort of weird thing, and where, you say something is one thing and not another. So once upon a time when I was first grade, kindergarten, or something like that, there's a game called Operator. And I'm sure you'll play this when you get to preschool and such. But the way it works is you have everybody sit in a circle. And one person says something. One person whispers in the person next to them's ear. And it goes down the line, where each person passes it along to the next person, passes it along to the next person, passes it along to the next person. And so it goes in a full circle all the way around until it comes back to the first person. And so let's say the message is the sky is green. So the first person says, the sky is green. The second person turns to the second person, the sky is green, the sky is green. So it goes all the way around the circle. And it gets back to the first person, the sky is green. Is that what you started with? Yes. Everybody's happy. It worked. So it's a fun kind of little thing. But one time when I was playing it, is kindergarten, I think, you had one person, the sky is green. Pass it along. Pass it along. And it comes back, the sky is green. Did you get what you wanted? Yes, the sky is green. And then half the circle went, what? That wasn't what I said. It turns out that somebody in the middle switched it. Somebody in the middle heard the sky is green, turned to the next person and said the sky is blue. And that went around about halfway the circle. And then somebody else decide, hey, let's be funny and change it from the sky is blue to the sky is green. So what happened was the message got broken twice. It got broken twice. And it got broken back to correct. And things like that happen occasionally where something where two things break in a way that it fixes everything. And it's really cool when you can design things like that. It's really difficult to have something set up so that if this breaks and that breaks, everything's okay. Usually, if one thing, yeah, it's really difficult to do that. But anyway, it was just kind of cool that, two things broke and it all of a sudden worked. And just like Clarence was like, oh yeah, he'll have no power to blot out the sun if you kill him now. And the guy was like, Clarence, you sweet stupid fool, you doomed me. But he doesn't say it because, has to maintain the image in front of Clarence, but he's like, I am so, so dead. And then what are they going to do tomorrow when the sun disappears? That's just going to be bad. But, here he was, and he lucked out. He just absolutely lucked out that Clarence was wrong about the day and wrong about his powers. And so, this was one of those weird cases where two things going bad made it work. Now, your Lolly pointed something out when I was reading. Sometimes I mispronounce words, and I really try to pronounce them correctly. She gave me much grief during the Swiss Family Robinson because I mispronounced chasm. And homage is a word that I mispronounced here. Well, this is one that goes both ways, where the H can be pronounced or can be silent. So it's homage or homage. It's one of those subtle things, and actually there are a number of accents where the H just disappears, which is one of the running gags in My Fair Lady, where she's trying to pronounce properly. And so one of the things is that her particular brand of English, the Cockney accent, drops H's. So the Professor Henry Higgins Henry Higgins. That's one of the things that she never got right, or it took her a long time to get right, because it's Henry Higgins, but the Cockney accent drops the H, so it's Henry Higgins. And one of the things that he had her pronounce was something about Harrington, Hartford, and Hampshire. All three voiced H's. And he had this thing set up where she was talking to tube. It caused the flame to jump. And she was like, Harrington, Hartford, and Hampshire. It didn't cause the thing to jump because it didn't have the P, the H, the hard H. It was, it was like, stop, Harrington. So instead of the fricative, it was the stop. And so, didn't pronounce it and didn't cause the thing to jump. And there was some other word in the sentence that didn't have the H that she put in it, which was, it's My Fair Lady is a funny movie. A little cringe in spaces, but it's a funny movie. So homage is homage or homage. As I said, it goes either way. And I pronounced it as homage, and Lolly was like, why did you pronounce it that way? I was like, I don't know. Because sometimes I pronounce words different ways. Yeah, GIF and GIF. So, the animated image, is it a GIF or is it a GIF? Well, the person who invented it says that it's a GIF. Says it's a GIF. The person who invented it says it's a GIF, even though it's short for graphics, which would make it GIF. And I personally try to alternate them just to sow chaos because, that's the way I am. Both are perfectly good pronunciations. I also, with the word key or quay, it's the same thing. It gets pronounced both ways, and both ways are proper depending on where you are. So there are a lot of ugly words in the English language which are hard to pronounce, and some of them are shibboleths, which I talked about.
Hey, Pop, what about, how can they be sure about what day it is? He
How?
could be off by days. Gregorian, Julius.
Oh, yeah. Yes, your Lolly brought this up. This is a big thing that kind of bothered me when he first said, oh, yeah, this is the day that it's happening on. So at this point, they would have been using the Julian calendar. Everybody was using the Julian calendar at this point, set up by Julius Caesar, who named a month after himself, July, and then decided that month is going to have 31 days. So he took a day off of February. Added it to July. July has 31 days because I am Julius Caesar and I am so awesome. Then his nephew came along, and he was Augustus Caesar, and he ran Rome for a long, long time. And he decided, I need my own month. So he made a month and he named it August after himself, Augustus Caesar. And he's like, I am so awesome, I deserve 31 days in my month. So he took another day off of February, which is why February has 28 days. It used to have 30. They took 2 off because the Romans didn't like February, because their year started in March, and that was like the end of the month, end of the year. And so we'll take it off of the end and put it in the middle. And in the Roman times, it was also, February was this time of mourning. So everyone was depressed, no feasts, none of that stuff. So take a day off of the month of fasting, and everyone was happy. So they took a day off of August, and that was the Julian calendar. Now, the Julian calendar has a problem with it. The Julian calendar has leap days every 4 years, forever. And you're like, well, I have a leap day every 4 years. And it's like, well, not quite. Well, actually, no. It's every 4 years, except for years ending in 00. So out of every 100, you have 24 leap days, which is not that bad. But there's a problem with that, because you need to add in an extra leap day every 400 years. And you're like, 400 years? But you're only going to be off by like a week and a half at the end of 2000. Well, that kind of happened. So there is a week or two of difference between the Julian calendar and what we came up with of the Gregorian calendar.
10 days.
10 days. So in the 1100s, 1200s, something like that, Pope Gregory was looking at the calendar.
1582.
What?
1582.
1582. Thank you, Lolly. Lolly's smarter than I am. So 1582, Pope Gregory looked at the calendar, and he was like, Christmas and Easter are coming together. This isn't right. He's like, well, what's going on? And, he had astronomers, and the astronomers realized, oh, yeah, because this is always on this, and Easter is based on the moon and the spring equinox. Christmas is moving forward. He's like, we can't deal with that. So he's like, okay, new calendar. We're going to make a new calendar. We're going to pull it back 10 days. And we're going to put Christmas back where it was. We're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again by taking off or adding in a leap day on every 400 years. And, he got this all lined up, and that was all happy in Italy. but it wasn't adapted in England until a couple hundred years later. It wasn't adapted in Russia until after the Bolshevik Revolution.
1918.
1918. So when the communists took over Russia, they killed the Tsar, killed all sorts of people. So when the communists took over, it's like they say Mussolini made the trains run on time. Well, the Soviets fixed the calendar. The communists fixed the calendar in Russia. And so they realigned things in 1918. And the Soviet Union lost 2 weeks because the calendar had drifted that much in those 400 years. So in 1918, they rearranged a whole bunch of things. And so the October Revolution, which is when they took power, actually took place in November because they just had bad calendars. So that was the calendar, and how he knew the proper date for the eclipse, it may have been because it was written down and they didn't fix it. This could actually have been one of those cases where things breaking it both ways. So he wasn't aware, maybe he wasn't aware that, this is what the calendar was. And he thought, it's set for the 21st. It's like, no, it's actually 10 days later because of the wrong calendar. But because the calendar change happened, I don't know.
September 1752
September 1752
is when the calendar in the UK, US, and Canada changed.
Okay, September 1752 is when the calendar in the US, Canada, and the UK changed.
The story was written
in
1889, 140 years later.
In 1889, 140 years later. Okay. Thank you, Lolly, for the useful information. So when you're a time traveler, make sure that, you have the dates and times fixed. And, you know when you're going, because you could be way, way far off. And be careful.